The 17th Employment Equity Report, recently released by the Minister of Labour, Mildred Oliphant, paints a picture of persistent and deep inequalities and almost suggests that some elements in the world of business remain hostile to South Africa's transformation project. This is the MoneyMakers. I'm Bruce Whitfield. I'm joined by Busi Mavuso, Managing Director of the Black Management Forum, to talk about what the business grouping suggests should happen and what they're willing to do in order to make it happen. Just give me a broad overview, if you will, of the Employment Equity Report from the Department of Labour.
So the numbers that we're seeing, Bruce, are actually very dismal and very disappointing, to say the least. So where we're at in as far as the employment equity status within corporate South Africa in the main is that we're only seeing a 0.1% move in the black African representation at top management levels. Although we do see a white management representation dropping, by 1.5%, but our view as the Black Management Forum is that 14.4 representation of black African managers in top management levels are actually not enough at all. It's a huge anomaly because you find the Statistician General Padili Hutla and the Council of Higher Education and Training saying that there is more black people entering universities, there is more fast graduation, therefore there is more of us being absorbed into corporate South Africa. So when you even talk to CEOs of these organizations...
Is that a fact that more people are being absorbed into corporate South Africa? That is a statistical fact.
That is a statistical fact. So when you talk to most organizations, mainly the JSE listed organizations, the very ones that are not transformed, they will show you and they'll pride themselves of how much black graduates they take in to their programs. We were actually at FNB, I think 2 weeks back, talking to Jack Silas, and he was telling us how 90% of the intakes at graduate level are actually blacks, black Africans. And then
so what's happening then between graduate enrollment and senior management levels or director level?
So exactly. So the issue therefore that we have as the Black Management Forum is that, so clearly if you're taking 90% at the entrant level, you are not short of a pipeline, and clearly you are not short of talent. And mind you, these are the undergraduate people that are taking through. So they've got some form of qualification, 3-year university qualification. So there is these artificial glass ceilings that continue to exist for our black managers within corporate South Africa, and they continue to exist. So graduates come in and for some reason they get stuck somewhere in the middle management level.
Now, have you researched the reason for that? Because, I mean, that is surely, I mean, we need empirical evidence as to what the bottlenecks are. I mean, because the assertion is that this is a deliberate attempt to ensure that talented black people are not included in the ranks of senior management. I mean, that's the assertion, right?
It's not an assertion, it's a fact. And I'm going to tell you why.
But do you have any data to prove it?
Let me tell you the data. So the data that we actually have to prove it is that when you look at this same Commission of Employment Equity report and you look at their professionally qualified level, they will show you that there is more black people in that strata than there is any other race grouping. And when you look at the skills development patterns, look at the promotion patterns, look at the recruitment patterns of corporate South Africa, at that level, and you will see that it actually favors white males. So the issue then, the question that we're asking ourselves as corporate South Africa is that if you are therefore worried and you have adopted transformation as a business imperative as an organization, surely you're sitting with about 50% of your professionally qualified level being black Africans, and if you're worried about fair representation at your top echelons, why therefore don't you focus your promotion, your recruitment, your skills development, at that level? Because clearly you are not short of a pipeline.
I've never met a chief executive who has not put at the top of their agenda a desire, and this is a desire to promote top black talent within their organizations. They claim to see it as a business imperative. You're saying they're lying.
It's a fact. It is not a business imperative. And let me give you another stat. So when we were at the launch yesterday, where these results were actually being released, and the chairperson of the Commission of Employment Equity, Tabia Kabinde, actually made, reference to the fact that they therefore started going about stakeholder engagements last year as the Commission of Employment Equity, and they obviously spoke to a whole lot of stakeholders, including the PMF and the business communities. And they sent invitations to meet with the CEOs of the business community. And guess who showed up to the stakeholder engagements? All the CEOs sent their HR directors. So clearly, the posture you know, and the view of transformation and the seriousness of transformation, our view is that it has to sit in the CEO's office. And if the posture and the messaging is given from the CEO's office that this is a business imperative, this is something that I take seriously, this is something that I regard as imperative, and it's sitting within my office, you would not send your HR person to deal with it. So for some reason.
Is that not an appropriate response, though? Is the HR director is in charge of HR policy?
Yes.
And the HR director, therefore, is an appropriate person to send. If the chief executive responded to every invitation and every letter of demand and every interest group's core invitation, they never get their work done.
But then your assertion is actually so incorrect, Bruce. You cannot say that this is every invitation. This is the Commission of Employment Equity looking at the numbers and saying these numbers are dismal, and they are saying, you know, just for this year, remember this doesn't happen all the time. They just said, let us go out there. And the reason why they've promulgated Section 53 is because they can see that they wanted to get these views from all these stakeholders to say, so exactly what are the bottlenecks, what are the challenges, what can we, as the advisory body to the Department of Labor, actually pull, or what are the levers that we need to shift so that we can make it easy for you as business. So it's okay,
so
it's fine.
What feedback did they get from the HR directors then?
So if there is recruitment, if there is promotion or whatever the case is, of course, that is HR. But this is an advisory body to the ministry, and if you're saying transformation is a business imperative for you, surely you would want to make that 2 hours or whatever the case is out of the 365 days that you have as an organization or as a CEO to go and engage with them and say, actually, your policy is not enabling us to ensure that transformation happen in this way and that way.
Did any CEO pitch? Did any one CEO pitch?
I think about 5% of CEOs pitched.
So some CEOs did pitch.
Some CEOs 5%, but clearly you can see that that number is actually saying that the majority, you know, I actually
and what feedback did those CEOs give to the commission?
So it was not so much the CEO feedback, but it was rather the whole stakeholder engagement feedback. And apparently the feedback that was received was that, from the HR directors, was that transformation is not taken as seriously by business as it should be. And they were talking about the issue of gatekeepers. You know, to say that there is a lot of
HR directors in this engagement made that admission.
Absolutely.
So what is the response to that then?
What
should be an appropriate response then by the Department of Labour? If that is what the HR directors said, we're guilty of, and we've created barriers, which I find hard to believe that they would have conceded to.
Absolutely.
That is your interpretation of what they said.
No,
I find
it's not the interpretation,
I find it hard to say that they would have put up their hands and admitted to something as flagrantly stupid as that.
Okay, you call it stupid. I think it's stupid by the way as well. So I absolutely agree with you. So, as I'm saying, go back and look. That thing was recorded. Go back and look at the presentation. So this is not my words. This is the chairperson of the Commission of Employment Equity saying, we went out there as commissioners and were engaged. This actually, do yourself a favor, get a presentation that they actually put on the Department of Labor website, and you will see that they actually say, this is what we found from our engagements, and therefore, from these engagements, these are the recommendations that we're actually making. And top of the line of what they found of the findings, actually I think there's 6 or 7 of them. Top of it is that transformation is not a business imperative. You know, it doesn't sit at the core and at the heart of businesses.
It wasn't the admission of the HR directors. That was the finding of the commissioners based on their engagements with the HR directors and the CEOs.
But remember, their finding is from the engagements. So they obviously went and spoke to all the stakeholders, and they came back and they said that this is what these people are saying us. And from that, remember, the reason why they were making these engagements, they so that wanted to make a recommendation to the ministry, and they wanted to obviously make an appropriate recommendation that is going to address the issues that are actually making business not, you know, move in as far as transformation is concerned. Then obviously they then recommended as such. So the recommendation that they came up with, actually what needs to be done, and we applaud the Commission of Employment Equity in this regard, was to say that we've always had this Section 53 in the Employment Equity Act, but for whatever reason, for the past 18 years, we have never activated it.
What is Section 53?
So Section 53 says that if you are not compliant as a business, you can no longer do business with the state. So this needs to be a certificate of compliance that gets issued to you by the Ministry of Labour, by the minister herself, and obviously there will be some inspectorate that actually gets sent to organization to monitor whatever it is that they need to monitor, and then they come back and say, Minister, yes, we need to issue this certificate of compliance or not. It can only be issued by the minister.
Why has the Department of Labour, then it has failed in its duty to trigger this Section 53?
Yes. Remember, the posture of South Africa for the longest time, actually since 1994, I think it has been this inclusive approach, you know. And the reason why I'm saying that is that if you know that the Employment Equity Act that we have in the country today was actually derived from the affirmative action blueprint, of the PMF. There was that affirmative action blueprint that we put together as the PMF in 1993 and gave it to the First Minister of Labour, to Tito Mboweni, but the Employment Equity Act that we have in the country today is a watered down version of that. Actually, when you look at the affirmative action blueprint and look at that, you probably would not agree that these are the same two documents, because we put in targets there, we put in time frames, we put in quotas. We said that if you're going to need to monitor this thing, and if you are saying it's radical, then obviously you're going to have to clearly measure it. If it's going to take 20 years, it's no longer a radical process, it's gradual.
In the spirit of radical economic transformation, then, do you have an assurance from Mildred Oliphant that she would trigger the Section 53?
She actually admitted as such yesterday to say that she does accept the recommendation, and actually the DG of Labour was there. I'm just trying to find his name in my head, it's eluding me, and he was saying that they are going to start working on putting the bill together. They are going to hopefully present the bill before Parliament.
What bill needs to be put together if there is existing legislation?
So obviously I think it's the putting together of exactly what shape and form, is this thing going to manifest itself, as it were. And they are saying that they are hoping to table it by Parliament by August.
And big business is going to say, we need to engage. We need 5 years.
Yes.
Would you accept that?
No. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Bruce, if we go around in circles the way we've been going around, if we are going to move a 0.1% year on year, it means it's going to take us another 120 whatever years for us to have a corporate South Africa that is representative of the demographics of South Africa. I think business has been given 23 years, to actually say that self-regulate, put your own targets. I think they've even been given the industry charters, which we as the PMF in the first place said, why do we need industry charters when we've got the broad code of good practice? And it is this same industry charters that have got targets that are less than the codes of good practice. So we have long said these industry charters are actually not assisting in as far as advancing transformation is concerned, but obviously in the spirit of unity, in the spirit of inclusiveness, in the spirit of trying to build the rainbow nation that we're trying to build, we have actually allowed business to actually, self-regulate, and we have left it to their goodwill to implement transformation. But it's obviously not moving fast enough, and something is going to have to give, because clearly the status quo is unsustainable.
Busi Mavuso, thanks very much indeed. Managing Director of the Black Management Forum. Chief Executives, you're watching, hopefully, still, for feedback at Bruce Business. Let me know what you think, and why didn't you go to the meeting? There will be other issues of national importance, of course, big agenda-setting issues next time on the MoneyMakers. Till then, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
The third Discovery Financial Planning Summit is taking place on the 29th of May 2017 and features some of the world's industry-leading keynote speakers in the field of financial planning. The summit will address key trends facing advisors in 2017 and beyond. Financial planners have a more pivotal role to play than ever before. This full-day event offers you the opportunity to hear how to embrace technology and more effectively connect with clients, gain insights into global investment strategies and market outlooks. Please go to financialplanningsummit.co.za to register.